Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thanks again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Happy Monday to you. We're taking a quick look here at Bitcoin, seeing what's going on. We're going to jump into the backend data actually right away here, as a matter of fact, because we want to talk a little bit about liquidations, which honestly there hasn't been too many in the last 24 to 40 hours, but the liquidation levels are a different story. We can see that we got a lot more whales active here today. Big surprise, Monday through Friday, that typically happens. And obviously we had a lot more longs today and yesterday in the overall sense. Now keep in mind, the more longs that enter the market, the more likely they are to get wrecked, because again, that's just kind of that natural polarity there where you can expect to see that be corrected. So let's talk about open interest here and kind of see we got the largest amount of open interest here at about 37,500. I really hope those are shorts and not longs. And unfortunately not. We got a lot of late longs at 37,500. So again, I just highly recommend trying not to be a breakout trader. There's a very unsuccessful type of scenario, depending obviously on the situation. It's not that I am against Bitcoin at all, but Bitcoin's already pulling back, and I think we're going to take a lot more. We need a lot more volume to get through that resistance at 38. So again, when the price gets close to a resistance level, the best course of action is to wait for confirmation, not to take a long hoping it continues further. Okay. Again, there's a few other factors we're going to look at, but simply put, we got more shorts kind of averaged out in the 37 to 37.4 range. So they're kind of spread out where the longs are kind of hard, late longs essentially at 37.5. Okay. Now, when it comes to the last 7 days of liquidation data, we got kind of a big spread here. You got to keep in mind there's some really high and low points here. In other words, we got some liquidation upwards of about 43,600. Which seems kind of crazy, but those are probably just really low leverage trades. And the same thing here as well with 32,300. That seems much more likely to be hit than 44,000, but again, anything could happen at this point. The key takeaway here is that we have a lot more liquidation right there at about 37,700. That could very well get swept versus kind of a further away liquidation level for longs at 35,000. Okay, so again, keep in mind, oftentimes these levels will get hit pretty hard, so there's a decent chance we could see a wick up to 38,000, possibly even further at this point, based on the fact that we have a lot of liquidation at that one level there. Okay? So again, I'll post this on our playout charts, of course, on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, but what we want to look at here is a couple of other things too. Just to quickly note, Bitcoin dominance is kind of starting to stabilize, which is a good sign for altcoins, kind of letting alts recover, but a lot of alts are getting hit harder than they should be right now. Like Solana, Avalanche, they're getting corrected quite significant, where others are starting to take off. So we got some H-bar, some Gala pumps. Kind of nice. I'll be covering those here shortly, but what I'm getting at is Bitcoin dominance is in a better place now. And then if we take a look at CME futures, there was a gap, but that has since been filled, so we're good shape there. Nothing too crazy out of the ordinary there. Okay, so the back end stuff isn't all that's upsetting, right? We can see we got a lot of liquidation at about 37.7. So right here at this range, just to give you perspective, this is where we get the most amount of liquidation right there. Okay, that candle wick up, tried to wreck it, but not quite. Okay, so again, I would not be surprised if we see the price continue to run up to at least 38,000 and then potentially pull back. Again, I like to emphasize the word potentially because we don't know if it's going to pull back there, but it is important to recognize nonetheless. Previous liquidation levels have been swept. We took a look at the daily here. We can kind of see we are kind of just averaging things out. This is a very common scenario when you have a very large increase followed by kind of a continuation in an ascending channel. Okay, so we're really just kind of averaging ourselves out nicely here. There's nothing like super concerning. I would say that's not great that the RSI is tapering off like this when obviously the price action is generally increasing. That's a hidden bearish divergence, so it's not giving us a lot of strength basically. Or correction, I'm sorry, it's a hidden bullish divergence there where the price action is potentially going to bounce off of that lower support level. Again, this really all depends on where it's at, okay? Because again, if the price action right here is lower, then we can go ahead and summarize it. It might bounce off of 50 on the RSI. The simple way to understand it here is that with the volume being lower right now, the oscillators are pulling back, and generally speaking, that gives us a little less strength. It gives us basically the concept that this is a false positive where the price action it may not be able to sustain itself or hold. We've also got a doji candle here forming as well, so just something to be mindful of. 4-hour time frame though, let's go ahead and quickly look at this. Let's go ahead and pull up some better, make it look a little bit better here for us. What we want to talk about just quickly is this upper liquidity level here. We can see right around 38,000, we got some liquidity. And as we saw previously, liquidation level at 37.7. So I would not be surprised we get, again, a pump up there to 38,000 to fill that upper liquidity level. If we take a look at the RSI, we can see that RSI is kind of hanging out sideways, but the money flow index is high. You got to keep in mind this money flow index is based on a 14-day lag, right? So even though the last 3 trading days we've had overall lower volume, we're still seeing an increase in volume in the last, last day or so, roughly, because it's averaging the price action higher. Okay, so again, that's actually a good sign there, seeing more money flowing into this coin. Gives us a little bit more sustainability, but if you compare this with last week's volume, it's definitely much lower in the overall sense there. That's why I like money flow index. It gives you a better indication of volume than just a volume bar. All right, take a look here at MACD. Not really much to note there. Really, the price action is just continuing higher, and we're not losing any momentum here so far. So this is a positive sign. Again, we got to recognize we're ascending positively in this channel. Okay, we're testing the upper range here at this point, and that's a very good sign. Okay, so truth be told, this Bitcoin has much more potential to retest that 38,000 level. And as far as big picture is concerned, we can talk about that here soon, what that means for us. But if you saw my recent video over the weekend, you will note that we were testing the cloud at one point, and now that we're above that level, we can summarize that we're more so bullish than bearish right now. Okay, so we are on the right side of the tracks there. So those late longs at 37.5 doesn't seem too terrible of an idea now that I look at it. Even though I don't really like the concept of buying the top, I think you might be more successful at this point, taking a long versus a short, just again, because we have a lot of confirming factors. All 3 factors here are letting us know that we're in good shape to keep our long position open with Bitcoin. And if you are considering a short, you probably want to wait a little bit longer, just because we don't have enough data kind of to validate or invalidate this uptrend, if you will. Okay? So again, all in all, pretty good shape here. I do think Bitcoin has potential to sustain itself between 37,000 and 38,000. We'll see here soon. I'll reevaluate this later today and see if there's any adjustment there. But I'm mostly paying attention to, again, the volume and understanding that we are still ascending positively here. We are testing this upper range of this trend line, and I think that's a positive sign as well. We forgot to touch on the moving averages. Let's just double check that on the 4-hour. As expected, we're above all 4. That's a very good confirmational sign for us. Okay, so we are on the right side of the tracks here for the price action to be more likely to increase than to decrease right now. Okay, so hopefully that serves you well. Thanks again so much for watching. Once more, if you are new to the channel, I appreciate it. Appreciate the like, the follow, and obviously a subscribe if you can, and be happy to help you out in the future. Jump on over to our Discord, Telegram, or Twitter if you're curious on some of the resources we have. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again so much for your time. See you next one.